Whatever it takes, we strive for a better tomorrow with fair elections, justice, rule of law, universal rights for all, independent media, freedom from tyranny, achieving lasting peace, to raise a voice and have a real choice, to be heard. Around the world, even in the most difficult circumstances, we see time and again that people want democracy.
Democracia.
Democracia.
Ufulu.
Ordinary people are overcoming extraordinary odds, risking everything for human rights and freedom. This cause, the cause of our time, is why the National Endowment for Democracy exists. NED was founded in 1983 with bipartisan congressional backing as an independent, non-governmental, non-profit grant-making foundation dedicated to strengthening democracy abroad. New ideas and calls for democracy support were taking hold, paving the way for an initiative to foster a global infrastructure of democracy for people to freely determine their own destiny.
Freedom is not the sole prerogative of a lucky few, but the inalienable and universal right of all human beings.
NED holds a unique role as America's leading foundation for freedom. We respond to and support what citizens around the world are already championing for themselves.
You don't really know who you are until you're forced to fight for it.
Since our founding, we have stood alongside those who are on the forefront of democratic struggles everywhere as a resource and hub for learning and intellectual exchange. NED shows up for those working for democracy. We stick around for the long term. As the challenges get tougher, we adapt, innovate, and work together in common cause to turn the tide on tyranny, to foster democratic renewal. This is the cause of our time.
Welcome to the stage, NED President and CEO, Damon Wilson.
Good evening, good evening. I love the energy in the room. I want to welcome everybody to the National Endowment for Democracy's 40th anniversary. We gather tonight to recognize creative and courageous honorees with our Democracy Awards and our Democracy Service Medals, to pay tribute to those who have contributed to NED's legacy, and to commit to work together in common cause in support of democratic renewal. But first, let me invite you to enjoy your meal, please. At NED, we know that today's challenges mean that we must work in common cause with others. You are part of a remarkable community of people working together to safeguard freedom and to renew democracy around the world. NED, of course, is a creature of Congress. That's why we're so pleased that we will hear from many supporters from the Hill tonight, from Senators Jeanne Shaheen and Dan Sullivan, who also serves as the chair of the International Republican Institute, NED board member Representative Joaquin Castro, as well as Representatives Jason Crow, Mario Diaz-Balart, Barbara Lee, and Joe Wilson. I really want to welcome Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield, who is with us this evening, and all the members of the administration who have joined. And we're especially pleased to be able to welcome Premier Su of Taiwan and Prime Minister Kallas of Estonia. It's great to see so many members of the diplomatic corps, congressional staff who are our partners in this important work. But I'm particularly pleased on our 40th to be with so many NED board members, former board members, former NED chairs, and the Core Institute chairs, who Ken Wallach, our chairman, will introduce later in the program. So yes, this is a NED family anniversary, and so I want to congratulate my partners at the Core Institute, Shauna Bader-Blau from the Solidarity Center, Dan Twining from the International Republican Institute, Andrew Wilson from the Center for International Private Enterprise, and Oya Cato and Stephanie Russ from the National Democratic Institute. We are a NED family. But most of all, welcome to all of those who work on the forefront of the struggle for democracy. Our honorees, so many NED partners who are here, current and former Reagan-Fussell Fellows, many of whom have traveled from around the world. We are here because of you. We're honored to be your partners, to stand alongside your work. Thank you for joining the NED family to mark our 40 years of supporting freedom around the world. Tonight would not have been possible without our sponsors, so thanks to our co-chairs, Eileen Donahoe and the Herford Foundation, represented by Jane Kurtzman. All proceeds raised for our anniversary go directly to our mission. We're grateful for everyone who's contributed to the institution. 40 years. In 1983, when fewer than 60 countries were considered free, when Soviet-backed communism posed an existential threat to the free world, when apartheid reigned in South Africa, when military juntas and dictatorships committed atrocities with little prospect for accountability, President Ronald Reagan, just a year earlier, addressing both houses of the British Parliament at Westminster, issued a call to, quote, foster the infrastructure of democracy, the system of a free press, unions, political parties, universities, which allows a people to choose their own way, to develop their own culture, to reconcile their own differences through peaceful means. And drawing on the pillars of American political life and the best of our democratic values, Democrats, Republicans, business and labor came together behind the simple idea that American civic actors should stand by those working for democratic goals around the world. And after 40 years, NED has delivered on this vision as America's foundation for freedom, supporting more than 2,000 partners in over 100 countries. And this only happened because of committed visionaries, like Frank Fahrenkopf, who is with us this evening. Thank you, Frank. And Frank, as he well knows, our other NED family founders, from Chuck Manat, Lane Kirkland, Madeleine Albright, and John McCain, to Jay Van Andel, Ed Donnelly, Sally Shelton Colby, and John Richardson, and other champions in Congress like Orrin Hatch, Bill Brock, Charles Percy, and most determinedly, Dante Fascell, a small group of people who believed that our values and interests were best served when American citizens supported the democratic aspirations of people in societies, in all societies and cultures. NED would not exist today without those, many who are in this room, who ensured that that vision became a reality. And first among those is our founding president, Carl Gershman. Carl? Carl, please stand. Please stand, Carl. Please stand. Carl, this room is a testament to your leadership, your persistence, and your conviction during 37 years at the helm of NED. So Carl, of course, built NED with dedicated people by his side. Some have passed, like Nadia Duke, but many are present. Mark Plattner, Barbara Haig, joined by folks like Larry Diamond, David Lowe, Zarmina Nashir. I want to thank all the NED alumni who have joined us tonight, and I want to thank many on the NED team who have served this noble cause for decades. You've met many current NED staff this evening. They are all driven, they are all determined, and it is a privilege to work with them every day as stewards of this institution. So while we're gathered to salute those who shaped the NED's family's rich history, we do so most effectively by honoring those on the front lines of the fight for freedom today. And while the world is far more democratic today than our founding, authoritarianism is again on offense. This is a consequential moment for democracy around the world. We face a more hostile and more complex environment, more sophisticated adversaries who back each other up, who use technology, information, and financial networks for repression at home and abroad. Thus, it's our role to support, to connect those around the world to lead a counter-mobilization to defend democracy and challenge tyranny. And for Ned, it's personal. We build relationships of trust for the long term while being nimble as crisis strikes from Burma to Afghanistan, Nicaragua to Ukraine, Sudan, to Israel and Gaza. Yet Washington often responds with debates on military or humanitarian aid, and our nation's far more modest support for democratic groups is our most cost-effective investment in a more peaceful, democratic, and prosperous world. As Dante Fascell understood, the best way to stop autocrats is to empower their people. And so, with our partners, in the face of new challenges, we're learning, we're adapting, we're innovating. They are forging a pathway to renewed democracy, with voters demanding change in Zambia, Guatemala, Poland, Thailand, to unprecedented unity among democratic forces in Venezuela and Burma, a surge in youth activism across Africa, female political participation in South Asia, Ukrainians, Moldovans, Georgians being welcomed into Europe, to young Hong Kongers leveraging technology to break through the Great Firewall. Our partners won't stop. We see every day the insatiable demand for democracy as people risk everything for the simple idea of having a say over their own future. But we cannot be naive about the challenges, but we should not be cynical about the prospects for change. Nor must we let hubris exaggerate our role. Rather, our choice is simple: to stand on the sidelines as people pursue their rights, often at great risk, or we step up to lend some support. And thankfully, our founders, our political leaders, those in this room believe in solidarity. So to that end, tonight, we pay tribute to exceptional leaders who are at the forefront of advancing justice, democracy, and freedom. We honor the courageous people's movement in Iran, insisting on basic freedoms. Independent media ensuring that the Taliban cannot isolate the Afghan people. Trailblazers who are circumventing censorship in the world's most repressive regimes, and brave individuals imprisoned or killed for their democratic activism. We will recognize President Tsai Ing-wen for her efforts to safeguard Taiwan's democracy, and Bishop Silvio Baez for his advocacy for liberty in Nicaragua. We'll offer a special tribute to and a remarkable music performance by Jamala in honor of the people of Ukraine. So to kick us off, we turn to a remarkable, accomplished public servant, a former NED board member who inspired so many on the NED staff, and current U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Linda Thomas Greenfield. Ambassador Thomas Greenfield has made not only her mark representing the United States in New York, but throughout her 35-year career in the Foreign Service, she's kept an open door to democratic activists around the world. So please welcome Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield to the stage.
Good evening, and thank you so much, Damon, for that warm welcome and for everything you and your team do to preserve and expand democracy. And thanks to all of you who are here tonight, and most especially our awardees. It really is wonderful to be back here with so many fellow board members and all of you, as the National Endowment for Democracy marks a truly extraordinary milestone. And Carl, where are you? I'm so delighted to see you back here with us. Carl recruited me to the board. He did not tell me how much work I was going to have to do. I thought I was retired. And then I learned that I was going to be your Africa person, and you had an extraordinary team that I really appreciated working with, but they really did get their money's worth out of me. Meaning, really, it was a pleasure. I'd like to admit that it's so that I'm biased in thinking that 4 decades is a pretty remarkable feat. You see, this organization and I share kind of a diplomatic birthday. Around the same time that President Reagan proposed what would come to be known as NED, I received my first credentials to serve overseas as a consular officer in Jamaica with credentials signed by President Reagan. I was just a few years from graduate school and younger than my own kids are now. And needless to say, 40 years feels in so many ways like a lifetime ago. Then again, the environment in which this organization was founded bears striking similarities to the one we're in today. Back then, a contest between democracy and autocracy was changing the very fabric of our nation and our world. And so bipartisan advocates in Washington got to work building the infrastructure to support dissidents, journalists, and activists, and modeling at home the very democracy we sought to foster abroad. Today, our world is at a similar crossroads. For the 17th year in a row, global freedom is in decline. In every corner of the world, people's basic liberties, their right to speak their minds, elect their representatives, to live free from want and fear, are all under attack. And so we must once again ask ourselves, do we look the other way? Or look authoritarians squarely in the eye? Do we retreat to our corners, or do we put aside political differences and work together to advance democratic values? Do we lose hope, or do we inspire it? President Biden has made clear from day one that we must meet this moment with strength and optimism, and that we must take concrete steps to build more resilient democracies, combat corruption, and defend human rights. And NED is at the forefront of that effort. As part of President Biden's effort, he has helped spearhead the creation of the Summit of Democracy, which has brought together over 100 leaders to address the threats facing democracy and commit to action. That also means grappling with hard truths here at home. There's no denying the recent attacks on our institutions or the little faith America has in them. So as we work to strengthen democracy abroad, we must also commit to restoring stability, integrity, and trust to our own government. We must reaffirm our values. And as the President has said, we must lead by the power of our example. There's no doubt that our work is cut out for us. But I have to tell you, I have tremendous hope. And that's in part because the rooms where decisions are made are beginning to look more like this museum. Because we know that when women have a seat at the table, our societies are more free, more fair, and more secure. Not only for women and girls, but for all of us. I'm also hopeful because I've spent time with the next generation of leaders, the ones who haven't been doing this work for the last 40 years, the ones we're going to be depending on to do this work for the next 40 years. And last week, I met young leaders in Hawaii and the Cook Islands. And I asked them about their dreams and their fears for the future, for climate justice and gender equity, food security, and education, all components of a sustainable and thriving democracy. These young people have lived through more in their lifetimes than any of them should have, and yet they have not lost faith. They've not lost faith in our nation's promise, and they haven't lost sight of our shared responsibility. I see them in the inspiring leaders we are honoring here tonight. All of them, all of you, are testament to the ethos of collaboration, participation, and unrelenting optimism that have defined this organization's work for the last 40 years. And that will lead us toward a more democratic world in the future. So I look forward to working with all of you to build that world, to build it alongside you so that we can create a future for the next generation. Thank you very much.
Since the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan in 2021, Afghan journalists living in the country and around the world have been working tirelessly to overcome the Taliban's strict censorship and continue sharing credible information to the people of Afghanistan. Over the last 2 years, more than 50% of the country's robust media sector has shut down. Many journalists have fled Afghanistan. Thousands lost their jobs, including 85% of women in media, and many others have been targeted, arrested, and abused. The consequences for telling stories not approved by the Taliban are severe. And yet, Afghan journalists have been able to circumvent these restrictions, sharing with the world the truth about what's happening on the ground, using innovative solutions, and working closely with colleagues around the world. The National Endowment for Democracy's Afghan media partners have remained undeterred. We recognize their sacrifices, resilience, ingenuity, and determination to keep open the flow of critical information to the citizens of Afghanistan.
Welcome to the stage, Representative Barbara Lee.
Good evening. First to our Madam Ambassador, to President Wilson, to our founding President Gershman, to all our NED friends, family, founders, and to, of course, our courageous awardees. I'm Barbara Lee from the 12th Congressional District of California, and right. But tonight I am the former chair, currently the ranking member of the House Appropriations Subcommittee for State and Foreign Operations. And I have been a proud supporter of NED's crucial work to support freedom of expression and information. Afghanistan boasted a thriving independent media sector from 2002 to 2021. Unfortunately, since the Taliban took control in August of 2021, independent media has faced an existential threat with more than 300, mind you, 300 media outlets, roughly 50%, closing down. Women journalists have been disproportionately affected by the Taliban's restrictive measures as they attempt to remove women from public life. Despite these mounting challenges, independent media organizations and journalists, including NED partners like Amu TV, Etelat Rose, 8 AM Media, and others, have displayed commendable resilience and innovation in their efforts to continue delivering accurate and timely information to the Afghan people and to hold the Taliban accountable for their draconian policies and actions. So on this 40th anniversary of NED, we pay tribute to the Afghan journalists, recognizing their unwavering courage, resilience, and pivotal role in upholding freedom of expression and democracy. And so it is with great honor and pleasure that we invite Ms. Nazia Hashimyar, anchor of Amu TV, to accept the NED Democracy Award for Journalism on behalf of Afghan journalists. Nazia holds the distinction of being the first anchor to broadcast Amu satellite TV into Afghanistan. Congratulations. Give her a round of applause. Her courage, her wisdom, her brilliance.
Yeah, please. Yeah, this one.
Thank you, Congresswoman Lee. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's with deep gratitude and honor that I accept the 2023 NED Democracy Award for Journalism on behalf of all Afghan independent media organizations. As a female journalist and a TV anchor with Amu TV, this recognition holds a special significance for us. It's a powerful reminder to us that our voices are vital and that our contribution to the fabric of Afghan society are priceless. In the past 2 years, Afghan journalists have persistently continued their work despite many challenges, both from inside and outside the country. This spring, for example, Amu TV launched a new satellite TV station that highlights the innovation of Afghan Independent Media today. I was the anchor in the studio reporting the news during our live broadcast from Northern Virginia to my fellow citizens of Afghanistan, in a moment that we will never forget. Likewise, my journalist colleagues from Ashtasop, Itlaat Rose, and other independent outlets who are here with us remain dedicated to their ongoing efforts. We, the journalists from Afghanistan, including those who are here with us and many others who are at the front line inside the country, we stand here to ensure the effort of the past 20 years to build and advance democratic institutions in Afghanistan have not been in vain. Dear Damon Wilson, NED board, and all our NED colleagues, you have been with Afghanistan Democratic Forces since 1984. From supporting media organizations to evacuating journalists in danger, you have stood by us no matter what. You reinforce our commitment to objective journalism and protecting democratic values. Thank you. On behalf of my colleagues at every independent media organizations inside and outside Afghanistan, I would like to say that this recognition is not only for our past achievements, but also a beacon of hope for a future where free speech remains the bedrock of a democratic Afghanistan. Thank you for your unwavering support and for honoring our dedication to truth and freedom. Thank you so much.
Welcome to the stage, Prime Minister of Estonia, Kaja Kallas.
Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, congratulations to this year's Democracy Award winners. Democracy means freedom. Freedom from repressions, freedom from war crimes, freedom to decide over one's own security arrangements and foreign policy direction. Over the past 2 years in particular, we have seen how much democracy really matters. And we have seen how much some want to destroy it. Why is Russia waging a full-scale war in Ukraine? It started when Ukraine chose its democratic path. Russia does not want freedom and democracy to prevail. It's a direct threat to dictatorship. We cannot take democracy and freedom for granted. As President Ronald Reagan famously warned, that freedom is a fragile thing, and it's never more than one generation away from extinction. I could not agree more. History is by no means a linear progression towards more openness and more freedom. The bottom line is that democracies and securing freedoms need constant care and defense. If we wish to continue to live free, we must show willingness to protect it. And sometimes you also need to fight for it. Ukraine is a reminder of that. Ukraine also reminds us that freedom must be armed better than tyranny. Russia is fighting its last colonial war in Europe. I grew up in one of its past colonies. Estonia was occupied by the Soviet Russia for almost a half a century. To anyone who lived under Soviet occupation, Russia's actions in Ukraine replay the worst Soviet crimes: mass killings, mass repressions, mass deportations. What Russia is doing in Ukraine has touched my family as well as many in Europe and in the States personally. In 1949, my own mother was put on a cattle wagon as a 6-month-old baby and deported to Siberia together with her mother and grandmother. Her life was saved by compassionate strangers who gave her some milk and strangers who dried the nappies on their skin because it was the only warm place in the cattle wagon on this 3-week journey. After the Second World War, Estonia lost everything. We lost our territory, we lost our freedom, and we lost a fifth of our population to Soviet terror and repressions. And the most important lesson we learned: you need to fight for your freedom, whatever the odds. Not fighting means losing it all, your people, your statehood. The second lesson we learned is that you need to have friends and allies. You need not to be alone. I remember from my childhood that one of the very few ways freedom reached us was through Finnish TV. It was back then when we heard President Reagan and his faith that freedom and democracy will prevail. This also gave us hope that one day we will be free again. So when the history gave us this short opportunity window after the collapse of the Soviet Union to regain our independence and restore our place in the democratic world, we took it. We moved quickly to join European Union and NATO, Our mantra then and our mantra now is never alone again. Because the transatlantic alliance for us Estonians is the real world expression of freedom. Today, the whole free world has also been given a window of opportunity. This window is about stopping Russian imperialism, stopping Russia's cycle of aggression against its neighbors. If we let aggression pay off, we open the room for more imperialism and sphere of influence politics. If might makes right, we have accepted the return of the age of empires. So Ukraine's fight for freedom is not only a fight for dignity, but it's also a matter of global security. With our help to Ukraine, we need to make sure that the land grab cannot succeed in the 21st century. We all have a skin in the game. That is why it is not enough to say that Ukraine must win. It is equally important to say Russia must be defeated on the battleground, or worse will follow. I really like the quote by historian Timothy Snyder, who said that in order for a country to become better, it must lose its last colonial war. Ladies and gentlemen, even the mightiest countries need allies. A strong transatlantic bond is the best guarantee for freedom, democracy, and prosperity. We must hold on to that, nurture it, and make it stronger, while reminding ourselves of the stakes involved if it fails. Today, NED is celebrating its 40th anniversary. I wish you every success in standing for freedom and democratic values for at least 40 years to come. Thank you.
As the world becomes more connected, the internet can be a powerful tool for good, but also misused by authoritarian governments. We know that lies spread quicker than truth. Time and time again, when people struggle for democracy, repressive governments cut access to the internet first to quash any possible dissent. That's where NetFreedom Pioneers steps in to help. NetFreedom Pioneers has developed a tool for accessing the internet without getting online. It's called Knapsack for Hope. By collecting parts of the internet, packaging it up, and delivering it to users via satellite TV, NetFreedom Pioneers helps to circumvent censorship and break down information barriers. Working in the world's most challenging places, such as North Korea, Iran, and Afghanistan, NetFreedom Pioneers connects human rights activists, technology experts, and others at risk to foster learning, understand the current operating challenges, and pioneer new methods and tools to enhance access to independent information. Access to outside information in closed societies has been an important way to empower citizens with the tools they need to determine their own future.
Welcome to the stage, Representative Jason Crow.
Good evening, I'm Jason Crow from the great state of Colorado. Thank you to NED for inviting me here tonight to present this year's TRAILBLAZER Award to NetFreedom Pioneers. NetFreedom Pioneers uses innovative technology to fight censorship and get information anywhere the internet can't reach. Their work is actively laying the foundation for democracy and freedom of thought in oppressive regimes around the globe. Their work takes power away from oppressors and autocrats and gives it back to the people. NetFreedom Pioneers is giving hope where there was none, in places like Iran, North Korea, and other oppressive regimes around the world. To break it down, having spent some time with our honorees, if you are delivering technology to these places, you are a real badass. So it is my distinct honor and privilege to present NetFreedom Pioneers Chief Strategy and Innovation Officer, Pepe Boras, and Executive Director Evan Ferozi with the 2023 National Endowment for Democracy's Trailblazer Award.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to accept this award on behalf of all my team from around the world, our team at NetFreedom Pioneers. A heartfelt thank you goes to National Endowment for Democracy for recognizing our work, and to those who have supported our work in the past 12 years. Our journey has taken us to corners of the world where these values are most threatened. In Mexico, we've championed free education. In Iran, we've pierced censorship. In Afghanistan, we've empowered communities. And for North Koreans, we've opened the window to the outside world. The urgency of defending these values in today's world cannot be overstated. Our partnership with the Net has been crucial in magnifying our impact and navigating these challenges. This award strengthens our resolve to continue our work. As we celebrate this recognition, we are reminded of the ongoing struggle for a world where democracy and human dignity are universal realities. Thanks again to National Democracy for Endowment and to all our allies for your unwavering support in this endeavor. Thank you.
From Tehran to Kabul to Pyongyang. This is more difficult than it seems, by the way. You don't join that one, but try this. Anyway, I'll just hold it. It's fine. Our work wouldn't be possible with courageous individuals, people like Reza in Tehran, who risked it all to set up our equipment to send and receive critical information during the recent internet shutdowns in Iran. Or people like Mr. Ko and Mr. Lee, who have become permanent targets of the DPRK for helping us and helping everyone else in our pursuit of enabling the free flow of information in the DPRK. And this award is certainly dedicated to them all. Thank you. When we learned that we would be honored with this award tonight, I contacted a very young and bright North Korean defector, Sea, and I asked her what would her message be, what's her message to all of you and to the world watching tonight. And what she told me, it's right here. And I want to read it so I don't. This is what she told me and what she likes you all to know. She said, "We must go on developing new technologies to reach North Koreans. They need to continue to receive and send out information freely, without fear of punishment from the regime. For North Koreans, media is hope. End of quote. Her message underscores our collective imperative to continue innovating against tyranny and oppression. A message that we at NetFreedom Pioneers have been able to address thanks to the support of the National Endowment for Democracy and its unparalleled commitment to boldly embracing technological innovation and creative strategies for the advancement of democracy worldwide. To conclude, I'd like to congratulate our fellow awardees, and I'd like to invite you all and everyone watching online tonight to continue to actively engage in the ongoing and novel pursuit of democracy. There is a Spanish poet, Antonio Machado, maybe some of you know it, and he wrote these words that I'd like to share with you tonight. He said, "Caminante no hay camino, se hace camino al andar." Or, traveler, there is no path. The path is made as you walk. Thank you and good night.
Good local time, everyone. I'm Audrey Tong, Taiwan's Digital Minister and the Chair of National Institute of Cybersecurity. I would like to extend my heartfelt congratulations to the National Endowment for Democracy on the occasion of your 40th anniversary. There is no denying that democracy is now facing unprecedented challenges in our contemporary era. Various entities are leveraging digital tools to destabilize and undermine the foundations of our free and open societies. And the work undertaken by the NED has never been more crucial than it is today. Your unwavering commitment to fortifying democratic institutions globally is both remarkable and exemplary. I wish NED all the best for your future endeavors. Live long and prosper.
The young women of Iran and the movement for women, life, freedom gave the world a new definition of bravery and resilience. Following the brutal killing of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini in September 2022, young Iranians mobilized to challenge the autocratic regime. Their determination in the face of oppression and violence has encouraged thousands of Iranians throughout the country to join their cause. The movement also inspired freedom-loving people around the world to stand in solidarity. Today, Iranians are enduring crackdowns, imprisonment, and violent retaliation, yet they continue to demand their rights. NED's Iranian partners are sharing information about what is happening inside the country, advocating to the international community, and offering legal, medical, and psychosocial support to activists. NED remains committed to the Iranian people as they fight for their dignity and freedom.
Welcome to the stage, Senator Jean Shaheen.
Good evening. It's truly an honor to join you this evening to present the Democracy Movement Award to the women of Iran. In September 2022, Mahsa Amini was detained by Iran's vicious morality police and subsequently killed in their custody. The 14 months since then have demonstrated to the world the incredible bravery of the women of Iran who took to the streets to demand accountability for her senseless death. They demanded justice, not only for Mahsa Amini, but for decades of brutal oppression. The Movement Award honors the courageous women of Iran who have dared to exercise their autonomy in spite of the regime's brutal crackdowns. They've raised their voices to declare that they will no longer be treated as second-class citizens. So tonight, we stand with the women of Iran and echo their calls, which have reverberated through the streets of Tehran and around the world. Woman, life, freedom. Accepting this award remotely is Mursada Shahinka, a single mother and woman's fitness instructor who was blinded by regime forces for peacefully protesting for her basic rights and freedom. We also extend our gratitude to the Iran Wire team for shedding light on the regime's use of blinding as a tool against peaceful protesters. So, although Mursada is not able to be with us this evening, she's recorded her acceptance remarks by video. But here in person from Iran Wire is Shima Shaharabi, who will accept this award.
درود به همه. قبل از هر چیزی میخوام از شما تشکر کنم که این فرصت رو برای من ایجاد کردید تا بتونم صدای آزادی خواهان و آسیب دیدگان چشمی ایرانی باشم. من مرسد شاهینکار هستم، یک مادر تنها با دختری 11 ساله که در آلمان اقامت بشردوستانه دارم. چشم من در 23 مهر سال 1401 هدف شلیک مستقیم نیروهای سرکوب قرار گرفت. من چشم راستم را از دست دادم، اما آزادی خواهیم را هرگز. من تنها یکی از صدها معترضی هستم که به خیابان آمدیم، اما چشمهایمان را از دست دادیم. ما برای آینده بهتر و داشتن یک زندگی انسانی در خیابانها حضور داشتیم، برای آنکه دختران ما در زندگیشان از حقوق برابر برخوردار باشند، برای آنکه خشونت نبینند و خشونت را بازتولید نکنند. من از همان ابتدای آسیب چشمم سکوت نکردم و در اینستاگرام خود این جنایت را افشا کردم. مثل بسیاری دیگری از آسیب دیدگان چشمی، چرا که سکوت همواره حاشیه امن سرکوبگران است و نور انداختن بر تاریکی و روشن شدن حقیقت برای جهانیان وظیفه هر انسانی است که مدعی مقابله با ستمگران باشد. من به عنوان یک زن، یک مادر و کسی که مربی ورزش زنان بودم و تحصیلاتم را در مدیریت امور بانکداری ادامه دادم، هیچ وقت در وطن خودم از حقوق برابر و جایگاهی که شایسته آن بودم برخوردار نشدم. هیچ کدام از ما زنان ایرانی طعم برابری و برخورداری از حقوق ابتدایی انسانی را نچشیده ایم. الان که من با شما صحبت می کنم، زنان در ایران هر روز با خشونت و تبعیض دست و پنجه نرم می کنند. از این فرصت استفاده می کنم تا برای شما بگویم 1 سال بعد از قتل مهسا، ژینا امینی همچنان همان جنایتکاران که صدها نفر از ما را کشتند و صدها نفر را کور کردند بر جایگاه قدرت خود هستند و علیه ما زنان و انسانیت قانون وضع می کنند. سردمداران حکومت جمهوری اسلامی همانها هستند که از روز نخست قدرت فقط ما مردمان آزادیخواه را کشتند و شکنجه کردند و به حبس انداختند. آنها این بار ما را سیستماتیک کور کردند. در وطن من همچنان ظلم و سنستیسی ادامه دارد، اما مقاومت و مبارزه ما همچنان ادامه دارد. به امید برقراری صلح، برابری و دادخواهی، زن، زندگی، آزادی.
Halima Idris.
Vladimir Karamurza.
Gubari Badoğlu.
Mohammed Ibrahim Osman Bulbul.
Dr. Adam Zakaria Isaac.
Hisham Asim.
Rames Asori.
Amel Barakat.
Salem Mimar.
Welcome to the stage, Representative Joe Wilson.
And ladies and gentlemen, friends of democracy, very much along with President Wilson, he and I are fellow natives of the holy city of Charleston, South Carolina. And of course, Ambassador Greenfield would identify that as a good politician, I'm happy to claim him somehow as a cousin. Hear, hear. But again, it's inspiring to be with you tonight as we recognize and appreciate the sacrifices for the cause of democracy. Now more than ever, the work of the National Endowment for Democracy is supporting freedom around the world, which is essential to world peace, national security, and prosperity. I am grateful for the words of President Ronald Reagan, who said when announcing the essential institution that, quote, we must work hard for democracy and freedom, and that means putting our resources, organization sweat, and dollars behind a long-term program. We've seen, indeed, the success of defeat of communism. Today, I believe the people of the world will defeat dictatorships. With the leadership that we have around the world, we now have, I believe, the greatest spread of freedom and democracy in the history of the world, as we saw, indeed, as living proof, the Prime Minister Kallas of Estonia. How incredible, the Baltic republics, that America never recognized the Soviet occupation in 1940 of the Baltic republics, and so it's come to fruition. The Individual Courage Awards honor those killed or imprisoned because of their efforts to fight oppression. Sadly, that list grows longer every day. We're in a conflict we did not choose between dictatorships that are invading as they promote rule of gun, the democracies with rule of law. With that, as we also see that we can be working together. War criminal Putin, the regime in Tehran, the Chinese Communist Party are working together as an axis of evil as they are seeking to deter freedom. With that, indeed, war criminal Putin has repeated in Ukraine what he used first in Syria, helping the brutal Assad regime's killing machine, destroying the Syrian cities like Aleppo. When the leaders of the free world don't face atrocities, they will continue. The work of the National Endowment for Democracies is successful, as I've, again, personally seen, as we see with NATO, with Finland joining NATO, with Sweden, 200 years of neutrality being given up, and to come together. And we see the energized Asian allies of Korea, Japan, and Australia all come together in the Indo-Pacific to come together to face the challenges we have. It's my honor to introduce Ugandan human rights lawyer Nicholas Opiyo and the Tibetan monk Venerable Golog to accept the Individual Courage Award on behalf of those killed or imprisoned around the world for advancing the worthy cause of freedom and democracy. You both are appreciated for your incredible efforts as great risk to yourselves in fighting on behalf of the political prisoners. We hope and pray for those on the front lines and in the prisons around the world fighting on behalf of freedom. Their sacrifices and names will never be forgotten. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Congressman Joe Wilson from the great state of South Carolina, for your warm remarks. With great and profound humility, I stand before you to accept the award that you've bestowed upon us this evening on my own behalf and on the behalf of hundreds, if not thousands, of pro-democracy activists across the world, many of whom have paid the ultimate sacrifice or do their work at great inconvenience, many imprisoned and many killed. These pro-democracy activists are heroes and heroines. They are the people who stand between us and a slide back into autocratic rule. This evening is dedicated to them. I stand before you only as one of them to represent them. And even though this award is important to me at a personal level, the gratitude and honor has to go to all of them who are unable to be with you here today. People like Oliver Lutaya in Uganda, who for the last 3 years has been imprisoned for simply standing up for her rights, for simply campaigning for an opposition leader in Uganda. Or indeed, many other young Ugandans who were disappeared or killed on the streets of Kampala in extrajudicial killings by the state in the last election. These individuals, every single day, put their lives on the line to ensure that we have a freer and more democratic Ugandan. We use this occasion to highlight the continuing and concerning conditions in Uganda, one of Africa's longest-serving leaders, who continues to hold on to power using repressive means. These actions are spreading across the African continent. Human rights activists who defend the freedom of others face greater threats in light of these long-serving leaders. We bring their plight to you today and urge all of you to stand with them. We are happy that this award is given to them on the occasion to mark 40 years of NED. NED to us is an invaluable partner in our fight for a free and better country. Congratulations, NED. We are emboldened by the fact that autocrats around the world lash out at human rights activists and pro-democracy activists, not as a show of strength, but indeed a realization of their own weakness. They are at their weakest when they kill, imprison, and jail activists like ourselves. But we know that even though this work is tough, many times rough, and comes at great personal cost, that we are on the right path of history. They can only delay the rise of democratic forces, but they can't deny it. We dedicate this award to all activists across the world who are working every single day to ensure a more just society. Thank you, Ned, and good evening to all of you. Have a good night.
다시 대락은 고동 Jigme 야정과 담자고 원미 갈등 선비 로년 발전 시위 gen지 야정과 간전송 전직 동아리.
Good evening. My name is Golog Jigme. I was imprisoned by the Chinese government for helping make a documentary capturing the anguish of Tibetans under China's rule. The documentary was smuggled out of Tibet and screened to journalists in Beijing right before the 2008 Beijing Olympics.
갑들 야정과 나락 저지 급탁 속 외편에 머실린데 나르쳶 나조 동아리 다른 전주 땅양 다량 전송 당한 입시와래.
As punishment, Chinese authorities chained me to a burning stove and then an iron chair where they tortured me with electric shocks. My body was broken. For months, I couldn't walk. Eventually, I was released, but I continued to speak out. I was jailed twice more and fled Tibet when I learned authorities planned to kill me.
오히려 소위 잠랑 열long 강사를 랑와당 톱당 동일 남큰 마원 전송당 전직 나르쳶다 말소 동당 동미래.
I share my story with you not because it's unique, but because it is all too common. In Tibet and around the world, far too many are imprisoned, tortured, and killed for speaking out for freedom.
So Sawang Girchupi, Namjin, Ruami, Jessiranwa, Toptang, Dora Tondang, Tongjin, Yang, see Yang, Sawang Girchupi, Pamis and Roatang, Manso Tang Rawan, Nabrajer, Mala Yichi, Tamboyot, Matsu Persam Tang, Renyak Namyang Dormas.
Autocrats resist the simple fact that the desire for freedom is inherent to human nature. It can never be extinguished, not through propaganda, not through censorship, and certainly not through brute force. Because of this, I know freedom will win, autocrats will fail, and we must never give up.
대란 제적 망소 돈이라 남건 남지 참춘 장탁식 달라 나오를 거전 체제 랑원가 제던 대종수 신비 마망당 다르다 나천 용어 신비 마망 제더 참미 등만 나오죠.
It is my deep honor to accept this award on behalf of all who have been imprisoned or killed in the name of freedom. I ask that we keep them in our prayers.
아마존 배집식라 샤글리가 남건 NED라 거전 체제와다 잡지로 남건 상마라 특지 체제와. Thank you.
Finally, my heartfelt gratitude to the NED for its unwavering commitment to democracy. As a former political prisoner, I know solidarity from outside is truly a lifeline. On behalf of all on the receiving end of your support, I thank you.
Welcome to the stage, Chair of the NED Board of Directors, Kenneth Wallach.
On behalf of the NED Board of Directors, I too wanted to thank you for joining us this evening to mark the endowment's 40th anniversary and to honor our award recipients. As Damon noted earlier, when the endowment was established 4 decades ago, the world looked pretty bleak. Either one party or one man, and they all seem to be men, or absolute monarchies or military juntas ruled most countries in every region of the world. Democracy and freedom had hardly even entered the lexicon of international relations. But the next 25 years saw a dramatic democratic revival. We have now witnessed a decade and a half of a democratic recession. And as we continue to adapt to meet new challenges, we know that people in every region of the world continue to seek freedom, to demand their rights. Yes, they seek jobs, shelter, and food, but no less a political voice. And we know that democratic progress is inseparable from democratic cooperation. We and thousands of our partners worldwide are united in the pursuit of a more peaceful, prosperous, and humane world. Our efforts are grounded in a growing solidarity network of courageous Democrats. Our work is based on deep and abiding relationships with them. We are often reminded of 2 giants of the NED family, Madeleine Albright and John McCain, and they continue to inspire our mission. The senator was once described by his longtime advisor, Mark Salter, as being in league with democratic dissidents, united in the knowledge that the most marvelous of human achievements is not to lose hope when experience has taught you hope is for fools. Madeleine talked about the act of striving, not because there were any guarantees of success, but because striving is in itself the only way to keep faith with life. I am proud to serve with a board of directors that is deeply committed to this organization, to its democratic partners, and to this cause. I would like to recognize the NED board members who are with us tonight, along with ex officio members who continue to support the work of the board, and please ask them to stand. Joaquin Castro, Scott Carpenter, Marlene Colucci, Kelly Curry, Mel Martinez, Dayton Ogden, Stuart Applebaum, Mark Plattner, Dan Freed, Jane Kurzman, and Marilyn Carlson Nelson. I would ask former board members who are here to stand and be recognized as well, including tonight's speaker, Ambassador Thomas Greenfield, Secretaries Verma and Newland, NED founder Frank Fahrenkopf, and the immediate past chairman of the endowment, Andy Card. And I want to acknowledge the chairs of NED's 4 core institutes and ask those who are here with us tonight to stand. Dan Sullivan of IRI, Tom Daschle of NDI, Liz Schuler of the Solidarity Center, and Greg Lebedev of SITE. Finally, I would like to recognize current and former Reagan Fissell Fellows from 15 countries. Each year, scholars, activists, and journalists are housed at NDI for 5 months. They write, research, and share ideas and best practices on key democracy challenges. Among them are a new group of democracy advocates who have been forced into exile by their authoritarian regimes. They receive critical assistance from a new NED initiative named after Karl Gershman. The Gershman Fund for Democracy Advocates at Risk provides emergency support from relocation costs to legal and medical aid, often in partnership with other institutions at home and abroad. The fund also enables these courageous individuals the opportunity to continue to carry out their advocacy work. I want to acknowledge former board member Milan Verveer, who played a leading role in establishing this lifeline. Milan, please stand. Not surprisingly, as authoritarian regimes have surged, so has this endangered community. NED is responding to these critical needs, and I would ask you to join us by using the QR code inside the back cover of your program. Any contribution would be greatly appreciated. I would like to ask the current and former Reagan Fussell Fellows to please stand and be recognized. Once again, I thank you for joining tonight's gathering to honor our recipients and reaffirm our common commitment to this mission, a mission that represents the convergence of our collective interests and values. Thank you very much.
Welcome to the stage, NED Deputy Director for Latin America and the Caribbean, Fabiola Cordova, and NED Director of Programs and Emergency Response, Tenzin Palki.
Buenas noches, I'm Fabiola.
I'm Palki.
It is an honor to stand before so many giants who had the foresight of designing the endowment 40 years ago. The world looks and feels so different from those early years, but NED's mission is as relevant today as it was back then. You built it to last, and you should feel so proud.
Fabiola and I are here to represent the endowment's diverse and talented staff. Coming from all over the world, we have each walked our own special path to the NED. I first encountered NED as a grantee when I worked for the Tibetan Women's Association based in Dharamsala, India, back in 2006. It has been the honor of a lifetime to support that struggle from the endowment. Today, NED remains a lifeline for the Tibetan freedom movement.
I started my career as a summer intern at NDI and eventually came to NED in 2005. Over the past 18 years, I have seen the endowment grow in funding, staff, and ambition. And I have grown professionally right along with it. I'm still here today because I believe in the democratic values that we promote, but most especially because I'm inspired by the people I work with, both in DC and in the field. And after meeting some of our honorees today, you can understand why.
And as staff, we draw tremendous meaning and a strong sense of purpose from the courage and pure grit that our grantees demonstrate each day. They are our North Star. We recognize that this is their struggle, and we are honored to play a critical supporting role. We are privileged to stand with them in their fight for democracy.
Rest assured that as NED continues to grow, we will work hard to maintain the endowment's essence and at the same time embrace change and innovation.
Thank you all so much for the confidence that you have placed in us and the support that you have shown us. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Welcome to the stage, Representative Mario Diaz-Balart.
Good evening. Let me start by first thanking you, the National Endowment for Democracy, and congratulate, it's the 40th birthday, right? It's a big deal. as you just heard, the role of NED is as important today as it was 40 years ago when it was founded. And leadership matters, as you all know. So let me start also by recognizing the president and the CEO, Damon Wilson, for his leadership and for the job that he has been doing. Because it does matter, Damon. It does matter. And as you know, NED works every day to bring freedom and democracy and human rights, which, as you know, is really human dignity, to the most repressed corners of the globe, supporting courageous individuals who are risking everything day in, day out for freedom. Is there a more noble mission than that? So again, to all of you that comprise this organization, from the chairman down to everyone else, thank you, NED, for the role and the work that you do every single day to remind us what human dignity is all about. Thank you, NED. So I have the distinct privilege of presenting NED's prestigious Democracy Service Medal to an individual who has and continues to bravely press for freedom in Nicaragua. That individual is Bishop Silvio Baez. Now you see, he knows because he has suffered severely with death threats and injury, and unfortunately leading to exile of the result of his quest for human dignity and freedom. The dictator of Nicaragua, Mr. Ortega, has impugned religion, calling the Catholic Church, quote, a perfect dictatorship. This is coming from Ortega, right? Yeah. Labeling the clergy as killers and coup plotters, and even accusing the clergy of calling for bloodshed. Well, Bishop Baez himself, he was named Bishop to Managua in 2009. And as I mentioned, he was forced into exile in 2019 due to constant harassment and, yes, as I said, even death threats. But he has shown how religious faith can challenge the soul-crushing bleakness of tyranny. And as the bishop himself once said, and let me quote, just as Jesus Christ, crucified by the powers of the world, was resurrected by God to a life that does not end, the crucified peoples, sooner or later, also rise again. Well, you know something? Because of his efforts and others like him, Nicaragua will rise again, and Nicaragua will be free. So, and it will be free due to the relentless courage, faith, and the work of individuals such as Bishop Baez. So for his courageous work to restore religious freedom in Nicaragua, for his unwavering faith in God's power to inspire the people in restoring liberty and life and respect for the sanctity of human life, for his ministering to the Nicaraguan people in Nicaragua and in exile to strengthen their faith, their resolve, and yes, even their sense of community. I am honored to present the National Endowment of Democracy's Democracy Service Medal to Bishop Silvio Baez.
Good evening. Mr. Wilson, members of the board of the National Endowment for Democracy, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor to receive the Endowment's Democracy Service Medal tonight, and I would like to express my sincere gratitude for this meaningful award. This recognition is not a just personal honor, but a testament to the collective resilience of the Nicaraguan people and the unwavering commitment of the Catholic Church of Nicaragua to uphold freedom, peace, and justice. Throughout history, the people of Nicaragua have demonstrated exceptional bravery in the face of immense challenges. For several years, we have been facing the oppressive rule of a brutal dictatorship and witnessing the slow erosion of democratic values, which has led to their complete disappearance. To receive this medal bears witness to the courage of my people, who continue to resist and persevere. I am honored to dedicate this to Nicaragua's courageous citizens who are worthy of this prestigious award. I also would like to recognize the admirable commitment of the Catholic Church in Nicaragua, which is currently persecuted by the dictatorship. It has always been a safe refuge for the poor and oppressed, and remains a beacon of hope in society. Today, I offer this medal as a tribute to the prophetic spirit of the Catholic Church of my country. I also want to remember the extraordinary witness of my brother, Bishop Rolando Jose Alvarez, who has been unjustly imprisoned for proclaiming the truth, defending justice, and walking with the poorest. His pastoral commitment is a sign of the enduring strength of the prophetic mission of our church. Once again tonight, I urgently demand his immediate and unconditional release. The challenges we face in Nicaragua are far from over. We continue to confront a repressive regime that seeks to stifle our aspiration for a better future. The international community must act swiftly and decisively to increase effective diplomatic pressure on the Nicaraguan regime. Dear friends, I urge you to support Nicaragua's brave people and sustain the cause of democracy and human rights in my country. We are a poor, small country. Please keep in your heart, in your mind, my country. To conclude, once again, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to the National Endowment for Democracy for this significant honor you have bestowed upon me. The medal I received tonight reminds me of my commitment as bishop to stand by my people and continue spreading the gospel's light among them. As I fulfill my humble Episcopal ministry, I pray that God may grant me the strength and wisdom to consistently support my people's aspiration for a just and free society. Thank you, and may our effort bring a brighter future for Nicaragua and for all who yearn for liberty and justice. Thank you very much.
Welcome to the stage, Senator Dan Sullivan.
Well, good evening, everybody. What a fantastic evening, 40-year anniversary of NED. How about another round of applause for all the people who've made this happen? Really great, really great. Now tonight, we're paying tribute to many courageous, principled people, but I can think of a leader, no leader, more deserving of NED's Democracy Service Medal than President Tsai Ing-wen of Taiwan. I first met President Tsai in Washington in the office of my mentor, who's already been spoken about, Senator John McCain, when President Tsai was a candidate for the presidency. Even then, you could tell she was making an extraordinary impression on the senators she was meeting with. She exuded competence, she exuded principle, she exuded integrity, things you don't always see in the same people. I've met her many other times since then. Little background on my next meeting with her. I'm a colonel in the United States Marines. My first deployment as a U.S. Marine was in 1995 and 96 as part of a Marine Amphibious Ready Group and 2 carrier strike groups sent to the Taiwan Strait by President Clinton when what's now referred to as the third Taiwan Strait crisis, the CCP and PLA were getting ready to invade Taiwan. And because they were holding their first presidential elections, they were shooting missiles over the island. They moved the whole army up to the Taiwan Strait, and President Clinton, to his credit, sent a bunch of Marines and sailors to the Taiwan Strait saying, "Not today. You're not invading today." So when I was on a CODEL as a brand new senator with Senator McCain to Taiwan with a number of senators, President Tsai asked everybody, "Have you been to Taiwan?" And she got to me and said, "Senator Sullivan, have you ever been to Taiwan?" And I said, "Well, Madam President, I have been to Taiwan, just never on the land." So we met later in New York recently. I was part of a CODEL in 2021 that we brought vaccines to Taiwan when the CCP was trying to choke off Taiwan from getting Western vaccines. And in all my experiences meeting with President Tsai, I have been so impressed by her courage. She has navigated an extremely delicate and dangerous situation over the last 8 years as president. She has maintained peace, liberty, and security at home, only 100 miles away from a country that wants to deprive Taiwan of all 3 of those things: peace, liberty, and security. She has done it with grace and a sense of responsibility that has drawn our countries closer together than ever. And that is a testament to her leadership. In fact, the biggest challenge she's had in Washington is managing the exuberance of her many friends, which is a nice problem to have. But I think in terms of Taiwan and the situation we have right now, we need to recognize where we are today. We have entered a new era of authoritarian aggression led by the dictators in Russia and China and Iran, who are increasingly isolated and dangerous, driven by historical grievances, paranoid about their democratic neighbors, and willing to use military force and other aggressive actions to crush the citizens of such countries. These dangerous dictators are increasingly working together to achieve their aggressive goals. The United States must wake up to the fact that this new era of authoritarian aggression will likely be with us for decades. We need to face it with strategic resolve and confidence. Our country has extraordinary advantages relative to the dictatorships of Russia and China and Iran, if we are wise enough to strengthen and utilize them. Think about them. Our global network of allies, our lethal and professional military, our world-class supply of energy and other natural resources, our dynamic economy, and most important, what we celebrate tonight, our democratic values and our commitment to liberty. Xi Jinping and Putin and the terrorists in Iran's biggest weakness and vulnerability is that they fear their own people. We should remember and exploit this in the months and years ahead, and that is why what NED and IRI and NDI are so important in the work that they do right now. And this is why Taiwan is so central to the free world. It is a thriving, prosperous Chinese democracy that holds free elections in which power is bounded by law. For that reason, it threatens the Chinese Communist Party's central premise that one man ruling in perpetuity by crushing all dissent knows what is best for 1.4 billion people. So let me conclude with the quote that the Prime Minister of Estonia already mentioned from President Reagan in 1967, who in many ways is the father of the National Endowment for Democracy with his famous Westminster Address. Freedom is a fragile thing and is never more than one generation from extinction. It must be fought for and defended constantly by each generation, for it comes only once to a people. And those in world history who have known freedom and then lost it have never known it again. Taiwan now knows freedom because of many courageous Americans and Taiwanese over the decades, but none so courageous as the leader Ned honors tonight, President Tsai Ing-wen of Taiwan. Thank you very much.
President Wilson, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I bring greetings from President Tsai Ing-wen. She was proud to receive the Democracy Service Medal in July from President Wilson at the 20th anniversary of the Taiwan Foundation for Democracy. As she indicated with modesty, the medal is a recognition of the effort and achievement of the Taiwanese people. Of course, the Taiwanese people would like to thank NED for the recognition. Tonight, I'm honored to be here on behalf of President Tsai, who has led Taiwan since May 2016, and I'm proud to have worked with her as Premier for 4 years. Over the past few years, there has been no shortage of challenges. African swine fever, COVID-19, the war in Ukraine, and the global economic slowdown, to name just a few. But Taiwan has emerged stronger after each test. In particular, the challenges to our democracy have been relentless. disinformation, cognitive warfare, and gray zone activities are all aimed at undermining the basis of our democracy. But with President Tsai's strong leadership and the hard work of the government and NGOs, Taiwan has stayed resilient. In fact, Taiwan's scores on freedom, democracy, and human rights have risen to the top in Asia. For those in Taiwan, like myself, who have gone through the martial law era, we are very pleased to see democracy taking root and becoming a way of life. For instance, we have fought against all odds to make Taiwan the first in Asia to legalize same-sex marriage 4 years ago. Just 2 weeks ago, I and many of my colleagues participated in the Taipei Pride Parade to celebrate the new page in our democracy. My dear friends, we did all this because we believe in shared values and because of the strong and unending belief in these values, we will continue to fight for them, knowing that we are on democracy front line against authoritarianism. And because of our shared values, Taiwan will work with all of you to go through more challenges together. The road ahead will not be rose garden, but we know we have good friends like NED with us. We will work with all democratic friends to ensure that democracy prevails. We know we will be stronger together. Thank you.
Welcome to the stage, Representative Joaquin Castro.
Good evening, y'all. Good to be with you. We had a crazy day in Congress. I think my fellow members of Congress will agree, so it's good to be in a room of sanity. Thank you to Ken, to Damon, to my fellow board members, to all of the incredible staff at NED for your wonderful work. And also, it has been amazing to witness the courage and hear about the courage of the awardees today. Thank you all so much. On February 24th, 2022, Vladimir Putin launched his full-scale invasion of Ukraine. In the year and 9 months of brutal war that have ensued, the Ukrainian people have shown themselves to be possessed of an unparalleled courage, conviction, and resolve. Their bravery has inspired democracy activists around the world to stand with them in solidarity against repression and autocracy. Despite tremendous hardship, the Ukrainian people have refused to surrender their freedom and their way of life. Their fight is our fight. We know that allowing Vladimir Putin to succeed in his barbaric conquest would spell disaster not only for Ukraine, but for the region and for the international order. We must stand with the Ukrainian people and ensure that Vladimir Putin fails. As you know, NET has been deeply invested in the success of democracy in Ukraine for many years and has stood shoulder to shoulder with the Ukrainian people since the beginning of the invasion. At the time, the unique flexibility and agility that characterized NED grants afforded NED's Ukrainian partners the ability to pivot quickly, respond to the crisis, keep their staff safe, and adapt to quickly changing circumstances. This was a prime example of NET's unique contribution, and the endowment continues to work closely with the most dynamic Ukrainian democracy advocates, ensuring they have what they need to implement incisive and strategic programs and ultimately rebuild Ukraine's democratic institutions to be even stronger and more resilient than they ever were. And it's my honor to introduce the next portion of the program, a special tribute to the people of Ukraine, who, that's right, who continuously rouse to action all of us who believe in democracy around the world. Please welcome to the stage Anna Bondarenko, founder and CEO of the Ukrainian Volunteer Service.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having me here today, and thank you for this outstanding evening. My name is Anna Bondarenko, and I'm a head and founder of Ukrainian Volunteer Service, which is a nonprofit organization aimed to develop the culture of volunteering in Ukraine. 6 years ago, we started as a grassroots initiative. Simply, it was a group of friends who decided that we want to promote the culture of volunteering in our country. A group of friends who believed that ordinary people can do extraordinary work if they have enough support and people who believe in them. Today, our volunteer community is all around the country. We have volunteers in the rural areas, in the frontline territories, hard-to-reach areas, and also in the territories that are right now temporarily occupied by Russian forces. Territories where volunteers fearlessly continue to support people who need it the most. Last summer, I was in DC. I had the privilege of being at the NET event during the early months of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. For me, it was a very special occasion, as I was one of the 4 Ukrainian women who received the Democracy Award last year. Back then, we received this award on behalf of the whole Ukrainian civil society, volunteers, human rights defenders, and journalists who tirelessly worked during the first months of invasion and who continue to work right now. I also today keep thinking about the changes that have occurred during the last year, both within me and within the community which I belong to. Last summer, during the Democracy Award, I was really hopeful and optimistic. And I still am hopeful and optimistic. However, right now, my hope and my optimism also has a lot of long-term responsibility for my country and my community, a great sense of purpose, a deep feeling of resilience, and also a bit of sadness, which is also has become an inevitable part of my life. My friends, my fiancé, and many of my generation right now are on the front line. Many of them are volunteering. Many of them are helping in very different capacities. Many of us have paid a huge price. We have a lot of friends who are right now captured by Russians, We have a lot of friends who have been injured, who have went through torture. We have a lot of friends who are not with us right now anymore. So as volunteers in Ukraine, we keep going forward while also carrying the memory of those people, those who are not with us anymore. We know even one life lost during this war, even one life lost to injustice is one too many. Amid the tragedy of the war, we've also learned a lot. We've learned the strength that comes when you are ready to fight for what you believe in, but we also learned the power that arises when there are people and institutions that stand behind you. Thousands of volunteers in Ukraine right now are coordinating humanitarian aid, providing psycho-emotional and legal support, taking care of children and the elderly, and they are doing it every single day. This is, to me, the true power of democracy. To me, this is a true power of people, ordinary people that do extraordinary things. But me standing here today is also one of the examples how none of this would be possible without your support. And I am really happy to be here to celebrate NED's 40th birthday anniversary, because I know for sure, without your support, without your ongoing commitment to Ukraine and to freedom and democracy all over the world, this will not be possible. And we need partners like NED to not only provide funding, but also to be there with us, to understand us, to know us so well, and to be ready to support us in the spheres we need it the most. Ukrainian youth, despite facing bombs, insecurities, air alarms, blackouts, and losses, remains resolute. We are not ready to stop doing the things we're doing, and we refuse to surrender, both on the front line and in the volunteer community. So we stand here not just as the beneficiaries of your support, but also as your partners. Partners that work tirelessly to ensure that Ukraine is free and Ukraine is democratic. Our common goal is a victory, but not only on a battlefield, but also in building a nation where people can breathe freely, a nation that is a beacon for democracy, for justice, and for resilience for the entire world. So thank you so much for your ongoing support, for your effort, and together, let us continue to go on this journey, to protect, to strengthen, and to fight for democracy. Thank you so much.
Welcome to the stage, Ukrainian singer and songwriter, Jamala.
Good evening to everyone. My name is Jamala. I'm a singer and songwriter from Ukraine, Crimean Tatar region. Unfortunately, my kids are the 5th generation of Crimean Tatar who have had to leave their home due to Russian aggression. And I would not wish anyone to go through this horrible experience. Russia was scary. Every Ukrainian fights for freedom every day. Almost 2 years later, it has become clear to all of us that Russians want to destroy our heritage, our culture. They may steal our territory nowadays, but they can steal our identity, our souls, our songs. I want to say to the whole world that we exist. And for me, it's important to give voice to my homeland, Crimea. I'm a singer, and I chose my way to do it. Whether I'm performing in Stockholm at the Eurovision Song Contest, or at the Global Citizen Now in New York, or Kennedy Center Honors, no matter how much time you're given, whether it's 30 seconds or 1 minute or 1 hour, I use every platform. I use every my moment. Let me share that 4 days ago, my new album of Crimean Tatar music, Khrım, it means Crimea, was considered to be up for a Grammy nomination among the hundreds of other albums. And now my album is playing in USA, Canada, Greece, Poland, and I'm so honored to be here tonight with all of you to celebrate the National Endowment for Democracy. I'm grateful for NET's support to brave activists around the world, in Ukraine in particular. Together, let's unite in our desire to make this world the best for life, for our future, for our children. Thank you so much. And now let me share with you with my songs. Actually, this song is Pencereden. It's Crimean Tatar language. This really ancient Crimean Tatar song. This is a song my great-grandmother told me. And it's about the engagement. The girl is waiting for her sweetheart, but in one moment, she realized that he is not planning to come to her. You can say that it's a normal thing for our days. But in that time, 1,000 years ago, it was quite a big drama. Pencereden, from the window.
Penceresi Thank you so much. Tonight with me, outstanding Fima Chupahin. And again, use this platform on behalf of all Ukrainians. I want to say thank you to all Americans for your help, for your support. Stand with us till the end. Stand with us till we win. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, stranger, for being close to me. Thank you, stranger, for your help to me. When my home's away, while the sky's on fire. When my home's away, be close when I'm crying. I saw closeness without borders. I saw open doors next to open hearts. When we're dying together, I feel your heart. Neighbors became a family since they took part. Thank you, stranger, for being close to me. Thank you, stranger, for your help to me. When my home's away, while the sky's on fire. When my home's away, be close when I'm crying. Thank you, dear friend, for being close to me. But every single town I dream of my return. One day I'll get on a train home to my Ukraine, and I call my new friends to have dinner again. Thank you, stranger, for being close to me. Thank you, stranger, for your help to me. When my home's away, while the sky's on fire. When my home's away, be close, be close, be close, be close when I am crying. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ah, thank you. Oh, thank you, 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 thank you. Ifem Chupahin. The next song is about my great-grandmother. It's called 1944. Exactly in that time, she was deported with her 5 kids in a cattle train with no food, no wood, no water to the Central Asia from Crimea. And we say never again, but never again happened again. strangers are coming. They come to your house. They kill you all and say we're not guilty, not guilty. Where's your mind? Humanity cries. You think you're God, but everyone dies. Don't swallow my soul, our souls. Yaşlığıma dayanamadım. Ben bu yerde yaşamadım. Yaşlığıma dayanamadım. Ben bu yerde yaşamadım. We could build a future where people are free to live and love the happiest time, our time. Where's your mind? Humanity rise. You think you're God, but everyone dies. Don't swallow my soul, our souls. Yaşlığıma dayanamadım. Ben bu yerde yaşamadım. Aman aman, yaşlığıma dayanamadım. Ben bu yerde Слава Україні! Героям слава! Thank you so much.
Jamala, thank you so much. Let me invite all the honorees on stage for a final photograph. Let me invite you to the stage, the honorees, the speakers who are with us. And while they're gathering, I want to recognize we were paying a legacy tonight to our leaders, our founders. I want to mention all of our former board members who are with us tonight: Michelle Dunn, Barry Jackson, Victoria Newland, Fred Redmond, Steve Stasanovich, Liz Schuler, Linda Thomas Greenfield, Rich Verma, and Milan Verveer, joining with the current board members who are here. Thank you for your leadership and support. Thank you. All the honorees on stage, please.